The Nintendo Switch has absolutely become my dream gaming console. And I'm going to tell you why that is the case right now. Now, I use the word dream very strictly, and I'm a very literal type of guy. I always ask this when people are like, it's my dream to be a doctor. It's my dream to own this car. It's my dream to own that. And I'm like, really? Is it really your dream? Do you desire this thing so much that when you're asleep in your REM cycle, that you want something so much that your brain emits it into a form of a dream? This is real. I did dream when I was 12 or 13 that I was playing Final Fantasy 7 and then Final Fantasy 10 on an airplane. That was a real dream, and I'll never forget that. I'll vividly remember that. And I fulfilled that dream in 2014 when the Nvidia Shield came out. I purchased it from Fry's right away. I knew what I wanted to do with it. I uploaded a bunch of the emulators from the Google Play Store, and I was able to play Final Fantasy 7 and 9 and 8 on an airplane. It was the coolest thing, its smallest form factor. I know you can do it on a laptop, and people have been doing it on laptops for years, but I'm talking about like an actual gaming form factor, and that's what the Shield Portable was at the time. And that was a dream come true. But there was always this part of me that was like, how much further can we take this, right? And even in 2019, we still have certain restrictions in emulator gameplay rise. We can't really emulate the PS2 too well, honestly. Throughout history, there's always been this segregation between portability and high-end gaming, or what the industry calls high-end gaming. In the 90s, it was this whole shift into graphics, this 3D graphics, these really boxy 3D graphics that we considered amazing at the time. PS1 and 64, and even before that, the Sega Saturn. These were things that were just like mind-blowing to us. And then there was also that other aspect that we loved, which was portability, which was the Game Boy. The original Game Boy, when I got it, was a thick, thick brick, but that translucent body was just so sexy, and playing Tetris anywhere in the car, switching batteries out, it was just a dream come true. We're not playing Snake, guys. We're playing real video games like Pokemon. Like, once stuff like that came out, it was just mind-blowing. You got those two segregated things, console gaming and portable gaming. And then it kept evolving with the Game Boy SP, Game Boy Advance, all those good stuff, and then Nintendo DS, PS Vita. And then we also got higher level graphics to the point where now everything is cinematic. Great. But there hasn't been a really solid merging of the two. Great high-level cinematic storytelling with that portability aspect. I know the Nintendo DS had some great games. I know the PS Vita was also on the brink. They were really on the brink, but they never fully solved that issue. Then Nintendo comes out with a Nintendo Switch. It wasn't meant to do that. It was meant to be still like the whole Nintendo form factor with the whole first-party games. We are Nintendo. We make Nintendo games. You buy a Nintendo console to play Nintendo video games. That's what it's been like for these last few years, for these last few generations of Nintendo consoles. Starting with the GameCube, really. Resident Evil 4 was like the last really good third-party one that I remember on a Nintendo platform. And then you got the Wii, and then the Wii U just completely took that to the whole new level, and you don't get really good games from the third parties onto that system. Well, Nintendo, they had a renaissance. For some reason, they decided, you know what? Halfway through the first year of the Nintendo Switch's life, they're like, my God, people would buy games, like old games, if it was in their hands, portable, anywhere in the world. And they did that, starting with stuff like Skyrim, Bethesda with Skyrim, and then, they ported some other games over. And then in April of 2019, they ported, to me and to a lot of kids my age, back in the 90s and 2000s, these were holy games for us. Final Fantasy was huge. Final Fantasy 7 through around 10. Even 12 wasn't as big of a deal, but up to Final Fantasy 10, those were games those were must-play games, absolutely must-play games. And then Nintendo ported them to the Nintendo Switch. So I had to buy it. My Switch, I have to admit, after the first 3-4 months, it's kind of just been sitting on my shelf, you know? I bought Mario Odyssey, haven't really finished it. Zelda, yeah, it was great during launch. I played that. NBA 2K was great portable anywhere, even though the gameplay wasn't that great. But, you know, the first party games, great. Still Nintendo stuff. I don't really personally enjoy it as much as a lot of Nintendo fanboys do. Not that they're not good. They're really good games. It's just not my cup of tea. But with Final Fantasy X, I have spent so much. I've spent close to 80 hours on the game right now. And it's just flooding back all these emotions, not just for the game, but for gaming in general. As someone who really hasn't played much games, I play the big titles. I played Spider-Man. I played Mortal Kombat. I buy once in a while. I buy 2K every couple years. But someone who's kind of detached now from that gaming world, it's bringing back these memories of when I was coming back home from school, wanting to play video games, spending Friday nights playing video games. The love of this stuff is flooding back to me because of the Nintendo Switch and their ability to port these games over. Not only port, but to enhance the game, to let you have that portability. So not only is it a port, it's also portable. That was my dream when I was 13, 12, whatever I was back in the early 2000s. I just can't tell you guys how happy I've been these last few weeks playing a Final Fantasy game on my Nintendo Switch. Forget Final Fantasy 7, forget Final Fantasy 9. You can play that on Android. Honestly, I'm just being truthful here. Those are great games too. I love those games. I've played them many, many times. But Final Fantasy X is a fresh starting point. Final Fantasy 12, I'm looking forward to playing it. And I really hope that Nintendo keeps pushing these out. I know they're old games. I know people have played them already. But at the same time, if you think about it, imagine playing Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 on the Nintendo Switch anywhere in the world. You can play it at a park. You can play it on an airplane. You can... Everything you as a 10-year-old kid has dreamt of, playing these awesome games anywhere in the world, you can do. Any time of the day, anywhere. It's just amazing. So that is why the Nintendo Switch has really become the gaming console of my dreams. And I don't use that term lightly. I don't use that description lightly. I mean, I have a PS4 as well, and they have great games on there too. Like Spider-Man was a transcendent game, but there's something about that. There's something about being able to not be shackled to your living room or your bedroom or your house, and being able to take that story, take that storyline, take control of that fantasy life that you're creating, that you're going through anywhere at any time, and keep that rolling on your terms. That's something special. That's something that Nintendo started with the Game Boy, that they evolved. It took them many years. They made a lot of mistakes. They honestly did with a certain portion of their history. But now they've opened that back up, and I am so grateful to that. So thank you, Nintendo. I don't really do videos like this, but I just, these last couple of weeks, something has lit. It really pierced my heart back to better times, better times when my outlook in life was so much better, so much more creative. And a lot of that was thanks to video games. And, in the hustle and bumble of everyday life, work, family, friends, keeping relationships and stuff like that, it could be tiring. And I realized that losing that aspect of fantasy and that aspect of dreaming, it's difficult, and everybody should have it. So I'm really glad that I was able to refine that. And I'm much happier today than I was last week or the week before when I wasn't playing a video game. So yeah, thank you, Nintendo. Thank you so much for bringing this back to me.
And that's it. Be sure to subscribe here. Hit the bell button so you don't miss any of our videos. And check out our other videos right here. Until next time,